All right, so hi all, good afternoon everybody, good evening or good morning, depending from where you are connected. Thanks for being connected with us. I hope and trust that you're all safe. Today you're participating in this Skillman webinar on tailor-made upskilling for the factory of the future. And specifically, we'll talk about the Fit4FOF European project. So during this session, we will see how we can make our workforce fit in terms of skills and competences for the factory of tomorrow, and so how to tackle workers' needs, keeping in mind always the rapid changes in the trends and advancement of technology, for example, in machine automation, data analytics, and so on. I'm also very, very glad to welcome our international speakers today who will share their knowledge and experience with us in just a while. So thank you very much for being with us. Now, while we wait for more people to join, I will get you all instructed about how this session is going to work. As you all see, the audience has their microphones off and their cameras are also off. The first space of today's session is going to be the presentations from our speakers. And after this first session is over, we will have an interactive session with some quizzes. And so as a nice breaking activity to start our question and answer space. So you can ask your questions and leave your comments in the chat box at any time during the whole webinar. And during the interactive space, we will address the questions directly to the speakers with facilitator Sabine later. Or alternatively, if you want to speak, you can raise your hand and we will turn on your microphone for a better engagement and discussion with all of you. Now, moving on, just a very quick self-introduction. My name is Valentina. I am the communication manager of Skillman. I'll be with you throughout the whole webinar. And so I would just like to, first of all, mention to you that today's event is not a sole event, but it's a part of a series of digital events that we are implementing and we have been implementing in the past with many objectives, mainly the objective of peer learning, sharing initiatives in Tibet at European level, and also to create new partnership for the future. So we hope that we can really engage in a fruitful discussion later on from what we what is the topic of today's session. Again, this specific webinar is part of the SkillNet project, project co-funded by the European Commission that we have been implementing with the aim of creating a strategy to develop a large network of centers of vocational excellence. In this project, we cooperate with a few organizations that you see on your screen now, and we are very glad to cooperate today, especially with the Fit4FOF European project. As a Skillman, the co-organizer of today's event, I would just like to share with you some highlights of the achievements that we have been reaching until now. Skillman stands for Skills in Advanced Manufacturing sector. So, of course, the sector is the advanced manufacturing. It's a network that was created in 2014. It has developed over time, and now we have more than 600 members coming from 300 plus regions in 93 countries. Let's say that the network is composed by many stakeholders of different backgrounds. We have TVET providers, universities, industries, individuals, policymakers, and let's say the main objective of the network is to exchange skills, introduce skills to cope with the new challenges of today's society and the needs that we have in the labor market in terms, of course, of skills. Again, we are, as a network, and within the project that I just mentioned, we are implementing many activities, especially for now digital, but later on we will do some on-site activities. So I strongly recommend you to follow us for future events. Now, I don't want to indulge any further. I just want to forward my invitation to all of you to participate in our biggest annual event. It's called the Skillman International Forum, and this year is going to take place between the 15th and the 18th of November. And this is basically our biggest event. And this year we'll have three main topics. One is digital and green revolution. One is micro-credentials. And the third one is sharing is caring. So social inclusion and so on. If you're interested, of course, in the topic that we are addressing today in this webinar, which I assume you are, I strongly recommend you to already start registering to our annual event, this forum. Very easy, just click on the link that you have in your chat box that Luca is sharing with you in the chat, and you can already register for the event. Another initiative that we do as the Skillman Network is the peer learning clubs. Those peer learning clubs are 4 focus groups of experts that regularly engage in the discussion of 4 different topics. As you see them, one is about the advanced manufacturing sector. The second is advocacy and policy influencing. The third is about work-based learning, and the fourth is train the trainers. Again, the first one, especially regarding the advanced manufacturing sector, probably would be of your interest. So if you want to join the discussion and also network with already 208 experts that are already part of this group, please, you just have to register, and you will be part of one or more of these groups. You find the link in the chat, and you can do it at any time. I would like to remind all of you that we are live streaming, so if you check our YouTube Skillman.eu channel, we'll be live streaming for those who have technical problems and can't possibly connect to the Zoom platform. And also let us know what you think about the webinar, if you like it or not, by just clicking the link in the chat. Now, let me first of all introduce all the speakers, and then we will just break the ice a little bit with a few polls questions just to see who is in the audience, what is your background, and also your preferences on the topic. First of all, we will have Jacqueline Kehoe from MTU Ireland. She will be our first speaker. After her, Paulo Leitao from IPB Portugal will give his presentation, and then we have a last-minute backup with Anne-Lilith Cox-Butt Rasmussen from Denmark, who is with us today. We're very glad to have her even at the last minute, but so we're very flattered to have you with us today. And the last one, Bogdan Martinez from Arctic, Romania, who's going to be our last speaker. After their presentation, as I said, we will have the interactive space with Q&A and quizzes. Now, as I just mentioned, I would just like to break the ice a little bit, and let's try to throw some poll questions very quickly to see who you are and what is the audience composed from. So the first question, which kind of organization do you represent? Are you an industry, an academic, educational provider, or other? Yeah, I just launched the poll, just a click. Let's see in a few seconds what the audience replies to this poll. So we have mainly representatives of the industry leaders, 33%. And then let's see, we have a very diversified audience with us today. Some are industry leaders, then we have members of academics, educational provider, and also other. That would be interesting to know later on. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is what just happened. Okay, so now our second poll would be, let's get right into the topic. How important do you think soft skills will be for the advanced manufacturing sector in the future? Do you think they're going to be as important as today, more important than today, and more important than hard skills? Here we have a majority of answers more important than today. So definitely for the audience, soft skills in the future will be much more important than they are today. I'm going to share the results. That's the answers we got so far, more important than today. And so we'll go with the third and last poll question. Again, very quickly, let's answer this question. Are you using multi-stakeholder participatory approaches when developing education training activities? Yes, I am frequently, sometimes, or I never do. I see that people are voting, so right now we have, okay, the general and overall answer would be yes. Someone does it frequently, someone does it sometimes, but so what I see here is that the majority of people sometimes uses participatory approaches for education and training. Someone also replied never. We will see that more in detail later and get and discuss these things later as well. Okay, so now right now, it's for me the time to give the word to the first speaker of today. Thank you very much, Jacqueline Kehoe from MTU Ireland, for being with us today. If you want to, you can turn on your microphone and the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valentina. I'm just going to share my presentation. Thanks everyone for attending today, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of our project and the activities that we've been engaged in over the course of the project. So, as you said, my name is Jacqueline Kehoe. I'm from Munster Technological University in Cork in Ireland, and we're the coordinators of the project. So the project started because, as we all know, Europe faces a considerable challenge in addressing the future skills needs for the emerging opportunities in manufacturing. The skills required in the sector are changing greatly, and the prevalence of digital technologies is leading to more automation, increasingly making manual and routine tasks redundant. At a human level, this characterizes new technologies as a potential threat to the workforce, which is compounded by existing gaps in digital skills. The skills of the existing workforce are not always compatible with the emerging technologies. 90% of future jobs will require digital skills, and 44% of Europe's citizens lack basic digital skills. The skills gap is widening, and in the face of implementation of new automation solutions. And many companies, particularly SMEs, are struggling to hire workers with the right skill sets or to internally upskill them. And current training and educational solutions can prove unsuitable for this rapidly changing environment. So our project is looking to provide the tools to help companies in this process of adopting new technologies and upskilling their workforce. We're 9 partners from industry and academia spanning 8 countries. To support organizations, we're compiling a data set of 100 emerging job profiles based on the changes brought about by digitalization. We're also compiling a catalogue of upskilling initiatives and setting up communities of practice to support upskilling in our regions. We're piloting our ideas through industry partners despite the impacts of COVID and has had on the manufacturing facilities. And Lilith is going to present our new training design process for us later today. So the education partners are in Ireland, Portugal, and Paolo will be presenting later, Lilith from UCN in Denmark, and CFI in Paris. Are the 4 education partners, and we have 5 industry partners, including 2 clusters Siaga in Spain and MISAP in Italy, who work with many SMEs in different sectors. A large multinational medical devices company, Boston Scientific, who are located we are working with the division in Cork, and Arctic, a large white goods manufacturer with the state-of-the-art smart factory in Romania. Bogdan will be presenting about their pilot later in today as well. So our approach was to identify and provide tools to help identify new skills requirements and job profiles that are resulting from digitalization, develop a new education and training framework and tools, keeping in mind that we always want to empower the existing workforce to be co-designers of the key lifelong training and education solutions, and to build capacity to adapt to the changing requirements that increased digitalization and automation are bringing about. So where we started with this was we need to understand the process an organization goes through to adopt new technologies. As you can see here, there are quite a few stages, and we can't just think about the training part of it. So we need to understand why a business is adopting the new technology, what's the driver behind it, identify the skills needs, design the training, then execute it and validate it. So in understanding the business needs, what might the need be? Is it cost savings? Is it expand production? Is it keeping up with competitors? Once we've identified this goal, then we need to pick, or the company needs to pick the most appropriate technology. Once the technology has been, well, to support the picking of the new technology, we have done research, and Paolo will be presenting on a tool that will help with this as well, identifying current and future technology trends, because there's no point adopting a technology now that will be outdated in a year or so. Then identifying the related skills that go with this, and the changes to job profiles that result from new technology. What used to be a manual process will now will require completely different skills once it's automated. So obviously, based on those skills, we need skills identification. The related skills needs are compiled, and a skills gap analysis will be completed. Then we also have developed some tools and techniques which we can be used in this phase, and they're listed as part of our deliverables of the project. The most important part for us of this phase is getting everybody's needs and collaboration in the design of the training. So the employer has particular needs. The employee or learner will have to understand their current role, needs to understand the changes to the role, and obviously will have personal future career directions in mind as well. And making everybody understand the needs of each other can help provide a much better training experience and more targeted to meet more people's needs. And the education provider then will be bringing a particular experience and possibly learning from each of the others on how things might change and how the technology is actually adapted. So to support, as I said, to support the decision making, we have the upskilling analysis tool, which was developed by IPB, and it is where we can access the job profiles, the trends, the catalogue of training programs, which obviously is just a selection, and a matching tool where we can match job profiles to the trends and the skills required for each of them. And Paolo will be presenting on this later. So that's a brief overview of what we have been doing and what our aims are. And I'll hand you back to Valentina.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you for this first presentation, for your first insights within this session today. Shall we move on to Paulo Leitao from IPB Portugal? Let me see. Are you connected?
Yes.
Okay,
So
good afternoon.
I think you can see my screen. No?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So I will try to very briefly to introduce you this Fit4FOF approach to identify the future skills and new job profiles, and to make a brief contextualization first. So everybody knows that we are facing this change where occupations and job profiles are linked to important factors such as the social changes, the human behavior, the pandemic periods like we are living today, but also these new technologies and means of communication associated, for example, to this digital transformation. There are several predictions and forecasts, and they are all aligned with this. So, for example, this prediction that around 2.4 billion workforce will have new occupations by 2030, or that at least 54% of all employees will need reskilling and upskilling by 2022. So this is very huge numbers that implies that millions of people may need to acquire these new digital skills, but others will need to change careers and improve their skills to adapt to these new markets. And in this problem, we need to have a challenge related to identify what are these new job profiles, but also what are the requalification and upskilling needs for the workforces. And when we talk about this upskilling, it is important to analyze this skills gap analysis, but not only the gap, because the gap, as it is illustrated here, relates to the difference between the future relevance of a skill versus its current relevance, but also the impact. That means what is the impact of that skill in the population. So if it impacts many people or not. So we need to combine these two dimensions when we are analyzing these skills. And the identification of this upskilling needs is not easy. We can use different tools, different methods. We can analyze KPIs, we can have interviews, questionnaires, surveys, some benchmarking, and brainstorming. And additionally, when we are analyzing the upskilling needs, we have different perspectives. The perspective of the learner, the perspective of the employer, but also the perspective of the education provider. So this will makes the problem even most complicated. And in this way, we need an integrated and a kind of playground tool that manage the new job profiles and link to the upskilling needs in terms of hard, but also in terms of soft skills. So in this way, during the Fit4FOF project, we tried to develop a kind of upskilling analysis tool that supports the different stakeholders to identify the upskilling needs for the new job profiles. We cover 6 technological areas: the collaborative robotics, additive manufacturing, mechatronics and machine automation, data analytics, cybersecurity, and human-machine interface. So we are touching all of these. The model that we are using is a kind of steps, sequence of steps, where the data that we are collecting is correlated to extract the relevant skills and the gaps for each one of the skills. So what we have is the user, that can be a learner, can be an education provider, or can be the employer that have an upskilling problem, should select what are the technological trends that are affecting its business. And also, what are the technological sector? So using these two inputs, we can cross these with a catalog of new job profiles that are previously identified, and we can determine what are the new job profiles that are affected by that technological trends. And if we take a look in a subset of the new job profiles that are affecting most that user, we can go deep and cross-relate these new job profiles and skills associated to each one of the job profiles, and we can correlate with the gap and impact analysis of each one of the skills that are also here in database. And at the end, we can determine what are the relevant skills and the upskilling needs that those that have bigger gaps for my problem. And then we can check the available training programs to make the upskilling, and we can select one, or we can start a co-design process to elaborate a new one if we don't have one available. This last part will be introduced and described by Lilith in the next presentation. But in this model, there are two important sets of data that are relevant for this model. That is, the first one, the identification of the new job profiles. And in this case, we have used the analysis, automatic analysis of recruitment repositories, also using some literature review and the feedback of experts. We combine all of these data, we make some interactions, and we came up with more than 100 new job profiles that are distributed by the 6 technological areas, as we can see in this slide. Here we can see the distribution, and we can see the list of the new job profiles for the data analytics sector. And this is the first set that is important and should be continuously updated, refined in order to accommodate the state of the art. The second important set in the model is the methodology to identify this skills gap analysis. And in this case, we again make an analysis of the recruitment repositories. We have considered some technical papers and white papers, but we perform also some questionnaires, survey to feedback to get the feedback from experts. And at the end, we came up with a list of soft skills that are relevant and a list of hard skills for each one of the 6 technological areas. And for each one of these skills, we have the gap and impact that the skill has for each one of the technological area. Using these 2 sets, we feed the model and we can play with the tool. And the tool is a web tool. So you can access the tool with this link. And I will move to the tool. So here it is the tool. You can access to the tool to see the job profiles, the trends, the training programs, but let's go to the matching tool where we can execute this sequence of steps that I talked about. So first I need to select what are the sectors that we are working. So let's see that I want to consider data analytics. And also we can select the trends, the technological trends that are affecting my business. So we have a list of trends. I can select, for example, the value of data and, for example, the connectivity, so the power of the connectivity. So if I now submit, the tool will go to the list of a catalog of new job profiles, this is more than 100, and the tool retrieves a set of new job profiles that are affected by these 2 trends. So those that are linked to the blue, it is related to the value of data, others to the connectivity, and others are simultaneously related to both. We can have this, and I can refine and select only some of the new job profiles that are interesting for my company. So we can select, for example, this one and the clouds. So artificial intelligence engineer or cloud service manager. And I can ask to get the analysis of the hard skills on soft skills. So let's start with the hard skills. So I can submit, and the tool will provide you data that for that technological trends, for that new job profiles that I select, artificial intelligence engineer and cloud service manager, he identified the most relevant hard skills for that. So artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cryptography, and programming. They have different gaps and also different impacts in terms of affecting people. And I can play with this. I can go back and ask for the soft skills and submit again, for example. And if I go down, so he updated, and now this is the soft skills that are affecting that new job profiles. And they are, again, the most that are more with bigger gap is the critical analytical thinking, creativity, and capacity to adapt to new situations. But in terms of impact, this capacity to adapt to new situations has more impact than the critical analytical thinking. So with this tool, and then we can proceed to the training programs and also to export the skills to the co-design process that my colleague will introduce later. So this tool is useful for you to play and to analyze, but we have also here the subscribe and subscribe buttons. That means that it is very, very important that we have updates of this catalog of new job profiles and also this skills gap analysis. And we are performing frequently some questionnaires, some updates. And if you are interested to participate as expert in this questionnaire to get your opinion in terms of the skills gap analysis and catalog of the new job profiles, you should click here in subscribe. You should put your name and particularly your email, and then you get information. And when we will go to make this verification update, you will be notified and you can participate in this process. So to finalize the takeaways message, so identification of the upskilling needs in the factory of the future contest is a crucial task, but a not easy task. The upskilling needs analysis should consider supporting methods and/or tools, and if possible, in automatic manner. And this Fit4FOF upskilling analysis tool contributes to identify upskilling needs and the new job profile. And this is it, my presentation.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you very much. Interesting presentation. Also the simulation of how the platform works, how the tool works. I can't wait to hear later what the audience says about this tool and their curiosities that they have around this methodology of identification of upskilling. Okay, let's get back to the next speaker, Anne-Lilith Coxbach-Rasmussen. Sorry for my pronunciation. I hope I said it all right. The floor is all yours, Lilith. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valentina. So I will share my screen just in a minute. Let's see. All right, so I suppose you can see my screen now.
We can, yes.
Okay, super. So my name is Anne-Lilith Kongsbach-Rasmussen. I'm a project leader, assistant professor, blended learning manager at UCN, University College of Northern Denmark. Oh, sorry. So what I want to approach at this first slide is that the Fit4FOF project is very human-centered, and it has this human-centric approach. This means that we places the well-being of the worker at the center of the production process, and also that we are very keen on, and we have a focus on using new technologies to provide prosperity beyond jobs, growth, and still respecting the production limits of the planet. It will also complement the already existing Industry 4.0, as we all know about, but we are looking at and already seeing well, the Industry of 5.0. So we're also very keen on having a focus on research and innovation and the transition in terms of being able to provide sustainable and, again, human-centric and resilient European industry. So that is the focus. When we have this goal and this focus, it really calls for a very strong user-oriented approach. And that is when we design for future industrial upskilling activities, educational activities, different kinds of tools, as Paolo just told us. And it also calls for raising the voice of the learner. So we have to be very focused on inviting the learner in this process. So what I want to present here is the ICode. And the ICode is a tool or a methodology where there is this big focus on the user involvement. The ICode method stands for Industrial Collaborative Educational Design. It is a very collaborative and development tool and very user involving, and it has a big focus on the learner's voice. It is a design and a co-design theory process tool. It's very rapid, and it is like a line of different workshops that are like 2-hour workshops. What you end up with is a very detailed design. You end up with a great and quite a user-friendly overview of a course or a training activity. That could be 1 week, it could be several months, it could be a year. You also end up with a very adjustable template where we work with time, context, settings, goal, etc. So whatever the industry or the workers, learners need, that is what you work with in the specific workshops. So it's very adjustable. What we have also come up with is a tool or methodology that is very usable in both physical and online environments. And I can tell you that in the start, we were actually going to do this methodology and this tool and these workshops physically. Then we had the COVID-19 and we had to transform. So we made this online tool as well. Yes. This is just to show you a picture of how the ICode process looks like, and we use the tool Miro to support the online activity. So, and it looks a bit, probably for some of you, a bit confusing, but I will tell you more. But this is how the Miro board looks when you have zoomed out and seen the whole process. And this is actually a process of 3 workshops. As you can see, it says 1, 2, 3. And so I will tell you more. So what the ICode and what the Miro also gives you is a platform where you are able to discuss and you are able to design something together. And it is divided in 3 workshops and in different steps. So you can see there are workshop 1, 2, 3. If you look at the drawings out here, and you have from step 1 to 8. So in the step 1, what you do is that you find your conditions that will affect the learning environment. So these are all the fixed information. This is also where the tool that Paolo told you about hands in a lot of informations that we need for the tool and for the whole process. Then we get to the step 2, where we select the most relevant hard skills. Step 3, selecting the most relevant soft skills. Step 4, we work with overarching values and principles, and this is where we select the appropriate learning principles. Both what we need to work with, but also what we find necessary. The step 5 will be selecting the relevant learning activities. Step 6, necessary resources. Step 7, infrastructure. And then in the final step 8, that is where you create the structure of the learning course. That is where you fulfill your final design, and in the end you will be able to take that design and then go transform it into a real course. The whole process is supported by cards. This is also a theory and a methodology that in the co-design, you call it card sorting. And for example, some of the informations that Paulo told in his tool, that is where some of these informations will be put on a card. So that could be a hard or a soft skill. It could be a learning principle. It can be how you believe in how to teach. It could be anything. And we have a lot of cards in this process. In a physical workshop, this would be post-it notes. In an online version, this is like online cards looking just exactly like these you see here on the screen. So what we also have is that we have like guide sheets that you can look at, and this is also the guide sheets here is also the ones that we will use when we do train the trainer, because this is a methodology that others will be able to facilitate over time. So we have, it's like it's not a game, but it's like reading the rules in a game. Right. So in terms of engaging the stakeholders and also still keeping this focus on the learner, we have to look on how to participate in workshops. And as you see in the drawing on the right, we have a level of engagement, and we have an ideal participation and a mandatory participation. And this is in terms of it's not easy just to invite a lot of people. It's not easy just to go to a production line and pull out 3 or 4 workers to participate in a workshop. But it is very important that there is a learner focus, because they have a lot of great knowledge that is actually very enriching for a process like this. So what we at least need is that there is an industry manager. There is someone with an educational focus and knowledge, and then there also should be participation from the learners or the workers. Yes. Right. So this is a small video where you actually see how the online version works. You can see the markers here. So in this workshop, we have 4 participants, or was it 5? So what they do is they drag a card. What you cannot hear here is that they have a dialogue. So they talk to each other. It could be, so I choose the card lifelong learning because I don't really believe that should be something that we need to discuss. Then they put it in the discard, which is minus. If you have doubts about a card, you might place it in the uncertain minus. And again, plus and plus. In the end, the cards in the plus will be the cards that they have all agreed on and that they want to keep. There is a great dialogue when people drag around cards. And the reason for that is that there also, with the participants, is a very strong facilitator that keeps the dialogue going, explains how to do it. If they have any doubts, they can ask the facilitator. And so it's very strongly a facilitated process. The facilitator is also there to challenge and also challenge how to understand the cards. Maybe a card hasn't really been discussed, it was just placed, and then the facilitator will ask, so why did you choose these cards and not this, and so on. So this is what it looks like when you work in the Miro and you work with the ICode methodology. So just to show you the final step 8 and how it looks like, and before explaining this, I need to tell you that this final design step 8 is actually something that has come from the 3 workshops. So we have had 3 workshops that is about 1.5 and 2 hour workshop each. And this is what you end up with, and this is what it looks like. And this is what the participants have agreed on. They have had discussions. They have chosen cards and maybe discarded it again, put in a new card. And this is the final design where they have agreed on which soft skills to upskill for, hard skills, how to place and how to understand the infrastructure, resources, activities, preconditions, principles, etc., etc. So there's a lot of discussions, a lot of things to agree on or disagree on, but here you have a final design, and this is I can see that this design has been divided in 8 weeks. So this is an 8-week course. Just to sum up, the method that we have worked with and tested in the ICode, in the Fit4FOF project, has been more than 40 workshops. We have had participators from the industry, blue collars, researchers, educators, clusters. We have handled 7 training pilots, which will be evaluated this fall. And we have all been in a process where we have learned to facilitate using the ICode. We are supposed to do much more concerning train the trainer, and there will be an event in the late 2021 where we will be at the Skillman Forum in November. So I have promised this would only be 10 minutes. I'm almost there. So summarizing remarks of the ICode, the voice of the learner becomes more and more important, and it has been a great pleasure to work with learners in this project. It's not easy. It looks, maybe perhaps it looks easy. It is not, but it is simple and well structured, and it is possible. Right. So I have promised 10 minutes, and I'm going to keep that promise. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lilith. Yeah, we really need to speed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Much time. I would go with the last partner in this project, Bogdan. Thank you, Bogdan Martinez, for being with us from Romania. Now it's your turn for your presentation. If you want to share with us, thank you.
Okay.
Let's try to be fast, otherwise we don't have any space for the questions and answers. That's the only thing.
Okay,
thank you.
no problem. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So no, it's okay. So my name is Bogdan. I am project team member for Fit4FOF from Arctic side. Arctic side, it's washing machine factory, Industry 4 in Romania. And I will present our Arctic pilot based on also we use ICode workshop for this one. Here you can see also, and you can enter to see our factory and more details about us on this link. Also, you can find on the YouTube. We try to use our goals for Fit4FOF project, for SMED matching human, and including also employee engagement, skill innovation, and main goals. Our scope is to upskilling the operator, smart matching human metrics, for example, to upskilling the operator from level 2 to level 3. As you can see, use some MES tablet. You can try to make the operator like digital operator. From this tablet, our operator use a lot of information, and they communicate with with the automation, with the robot, with the machinery. As you can see here on this page, all are connected with the operator, with the MES tablet. It's including material order, information, AGV, RGV system, and all this management material is connected to the operator, human-machine interface. We use also ICode project for this, for our pilots. And I can present a little bit very quickly this. We use these 8 steps: precondition, hard skill, soft skill, principle, activity, resources, infrastructure, educational design. Our feedback to use these tools and micro tools are it's easy to apply, it's challenging question, support in different language, and help us a lot to implement our pilot in this structure. This is also step related from ICode, from 1 to 8, what is split on 3. This is some example from our workshop, what we made on the ICode, and we put also here in the right side, you can see our our precondition, what we put on the ICode project. Step 2, it's hard skills. Step 3, soft skills, principle, activity, resources. So for all of them, we put this writing in Romanian language in the right side. Infrastructure, and this is the main page. We are connected. All of us when we make this workshop. It was very challenging and something new for us, but it helped us a lot because we communicate, we came with idea, we discuss the idea, we put the question and so on. And I make the quickly presentation. Sorry, this is all for the moment.
Thank you, Bogdan. Thank you very much. I think it's enough, and I think you gave the idea of the whole situation that you have there in Romania. Now, I just wanted to dedicate some time to this Q&A space, like to see and hear what the audience has to say about the project and the tool that you're using and the methodology and everything. So for this purpose, I want to bring in Sabine Zimmerman. If you're connected now, she's also a partner of this project, and she will be facilitating this interactive action space, let's say. Sabine?
Thanks, Valentina. And also thanks to the speakers for the very interesting presentations that we have seen. So first of all, maybe Valentina, we prepared a word cloud for the participants to give us some idea of what's your thoughts on part of what you've just seen. So if you go to the Slido website, just use slido.com, and the access code will be upskilling.
Yes, exactly.
And then I think, Valentina, you can so the question you could answer here is, which tools or information sources do you use to identify your upskilling needs at the moment? So in the Fit4FOF, you have seen that we used very interactive tools to identify the upskilling needs, but we would be interested to find out what tools are you using in your organization, in your company. And as we have quite some industry participation, I think, I hope that we'll get some information from you as well on this. So go ahead.
Yes, again, you have the you can scan the code that you see on the screen, and you will land directly on the page to vote. Or you can go on slido.com and with the code upskilling, and you will be able to vote. Once you set your vote, we can see the results directly on the screen, so we will see them live. Okay, let's wait for everybody to join the platform and vote. We see the first words. Excels, emails, technology. Once we receive more of one answer, the answer will be bigger, will look bigger. So we will see in a visual way also what are the priorities of those tools and sources that you use to identify your upskilling needs. Survey. You see now survey has become bigger because we have many answers on that specific thing.
Maybe you could also think about if you are investigating only on the management level or even on the workers level to identify.
Yes, definitely surveys and workshops as main tools to identify upskilling needs. All right, I think Sabine, we can start from this as a starting point to set up the discussions on the topic. If you agree, okay, so from my side, I can turn on the microphone from everyone who wants to say something, give a contribution, or I don't know, share a reflection with us about the topic, or ask any questions. Otherwise, Sabine, I will leave you the lead on addressing the questions to the speakers directly, or if you want to add something as you want.
Thanks, Valentina. Someone, I don't see any hands up. Someone wanting to give some insights? I mean, what we see here also in the Slido word cloud is what we perceive as well, that we all know automation, big data, AI, and the like is getting more and more important in manufacturing industry. But at the same time, we feel that we need to focus or give more emphasis on the human-centric aspects. And that's what we tried to do in the Fit4FOF project. So to develop an approach to identify upskilling that takes into account directly or directly includes not only the management level, but also the shop floor workers level. And as we saw in the project, this was very successful. And so if it would be interesting to find out if someone who's using workshops, for example, could tell us what's their experience with this, for example. Yes, so in case someone wants to let us know, just type something in the chat, or you're welcome to tell us right away as well. And what we also saw in Fit4FOF is that a method such as the ICode, which is a very structured co-design approach, which is easy to understand and easy to apply, makes it easier for organizations to embark on this journey with like trying to involve all stakeholders in this approach. So I think this is one of the main takeaways, that we tried and tested this, and it really seems to be a promising approach. And I think As we are convinced about that, we hope that more organizations will embark on this journey, not trying to top-down identify upskilling needs and upskilling programs, but more actively involving workers in this activity. And we think that in the medium term, this will benefit everybody, not only the workers who are taken more serious, but also the industry that we think is more successful in satisfying their upskilling needs by using this or similar approaches. Maybe just as we are nearly at the end of this workshop, someone from the other partners wants to have a final word as well?
Well, I was just thinking that my experience with these more than 40 workshops has been that one thing is the very structured, collected informations in terms of which skills to upskill for. And another thing is what happens when you reflect and you have a shared dialogue, because what I have experienced is that also some of these needs, maybe they are needs that you don't really talk about. They're not hidden, but they're never talked about. When you join in a workshop where you're supposed to reflect upon which needs you have and which skills you need, then some of them come up in the dialogue, in the shared dialogue. So, and that's why these workshops are a very strong tool, actually, because the dialogue is a very yeah, it's very given in terms of things coming up that wouldn't have come up. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Lilith. I think it's always worth trying to change position and look at things from a different angle, and I think those workshops are much facilitating this.
Yes, and the stakeholders enter the workshop with very different backgrounds and also therefore very different perspectives and I guess knowledge. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Lilith. Some other final comment? If not, then I hope you found the webinar interesting. We are very glad to answer any questions coming up later on. So I posted in the chat the link to our website. From there, you'll be able to get into contact with us. There you can also join our stakeholder community. As Lilith already said, we'll have a series of follow-on activities and workshops, among others, one where you will be able to test the ICode approach yourself. This will take place on the 22nd of September. So maybe someone is interested to join that, and information on this event will be on the website very soon. And of course, we're also sharing this through Skillman, so hopefully you'll get this information in any case. So thanks again, Valentina and Skillman, for the opportunity for us to present the project. And yes, have a nice rest of the afternoon, and back to Valentina then.
Thank you, Sabine. Thank you very much for being with us with the Fit4FOF project. Actually, the tool is very interesting. I hope that everybody enjoyed that. I see many comments in the chat. Thank you for these interesting presentations. And I see that people overall reacted interestingly. So again, thank you, everyone. I remind everybody that you can find all the materials of today's presentation on our webpage, the Skillman.eu. We will come back at you with a follow-up email with all the instructions to check all the videos and presentations. And also, last thing is I remind to all of you that we are over with the webinars for the summer session, so we will get back in September. with the new season of new webinars. The next one is going to be on the 9th of September on adaptive expertise, 2 p.m. Central European Time. Again, thank you very much. I will leave you with this last slide. If you want to interact, the room will be open for another 2 or 3 minutes. Have a great day, have a great night, great evening. Thank you very much for the speakers for being with us. Keep safe and bye-bye.
Thanks, Valentina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.